Okay, welcome to Into the Channel podcast, primarily about women's football. A very special episode, an interview episode of Into the Channel. I am your host, Dino Decespedes, and I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engle. What's up, man?
I'm feeling fantastic, buddy, and that is because we are joined by one of the most talented young goalkeepers in the NWSL. She's previously spent time in goal at The Ohio State University, where she achieved a spot on the Big Ten's all-freshman team in 2019, before transferring to Iowa State University in lovely Ames, Iowa, where she made 43 appearances for the Cyclones and led the Big 12 with 100 saves in the 2022 season. She was selected number 18 in the 23 NWSL draft by the Kansas City Current and was loaned to the Brisbane Roar in Australia's A-League, where she made 19 appearances and really got her professional career jump-started. But for the purposes of today's show, we will be talking to her about her season as Bay FC's number one goalkeeper and a year filled with acrobatic saves and material growth around the squad. It is an honor and a privilege to welcome to the program, Jordan Silkowitz.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thrilled to have you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jordan, so let's get started. Obviously, this season, not the season we were hoping for, not the season I'm sure you were hoping for. But looking back, and I know there's still one more game to play, what are you going to take away from a positive standpoint from this year?
I think just taking a step back and reflecting first, personally, I think this is a year you dream of for the longest time. Obviously, in this position, you wait for your time. It's a very experience-based position. And I think getting to step in to that starter position this year has just been a dream come true. And getting to play with people I've looked up to, people I've aspired to be like, has just been incredible. And getting to grow and with this group of girls and our coaches and everyone involved in the organization, it's been nothing short of amazing. And we all know professional sports. There's highs, there's lows. Look at the teams that are at the top. They've gone through spells at the bottom before. And, it's like kind of a slingshot. You got to go back before you can go forward. So that's how I'm looking as this year. We've learned a lot of lessons. We've done a lot of great things as well, but this is just going to catapult us into a better place for next season. So I'm just excited to keep growing and continue developing with this team.
Jordan, you mentioned the organization. Can you talk about, I haven't quite been able to put my finger on it, but it does seem like, Bay FC as a club is doing things at a high level, a very professional kind of outfit. Can you talk a little bit about what that's been like? Obviously you're not getting the results, but it does feel like there's something foundationally getting put together the right way. Can you talk about what it's been like being a part of the organization as a whole?
Yeah, obviously this is the team's second year. I think I have to remember that as well. And the opportunities that this organization provides us with as players, both on and off the field, is something I'm truly so grateful to be a part of. The opportunity we've had to develop, network off the field. Not that any of us want our careers to come to the end anytime soon, but just the opportunities we have, networking events, thinking about that next step when it comes, because, you have a team, you have people of all different ages. I think that's something I've never been exposed to before. And I think the path that they're paving off the field and our personal development has been incredible. And also on the field at this organization, they want to trend set. They want to be the standard, set the standard, and continue pushing this field. And I think the plans that this organization has for the future and the foundation and groundwork they're laying now is something that I know personally I'm super excited to be a part of and really looking forward to the future and what's to come.
Yeah, totally. I think you guys definitely have a framework there to make those steps forward. So you talk about setting that framework. You talked a little bit about the slingshot principle. I want to build off that a little bit. I mentioned it in the intro. A little background on our podcast. We started as a UEFA Women's Champions League show. And so we have a real fascination with world football. Mm-hmm. And, obviously I mentioned your time in Brisbane. What did that kind of do for you as the slingshot effect, as kind of the building effect, going almost about as far away as you could go to Australia, to Brisbane? Can you kind of describe what that experience was like, and then even getting the playing time that you got over there?
Yeah. Wow. I just think looking back, my rookie year coming out of college, I was really fortunate to be with some great goalkeepers, Cassie Miller and Adie French, people that have accomplished what I want to accomplish in my lengthy career, hopefully. And I just went in really trying to be a sponge, learn. The jump from college to pro was really hard for me. There was the pace of everything, the speed. And I just tried to learn as much as I can in that first season I had. And then having the opportunity to go on loan to Australia and be able to see how much I had grown as a player and as a person. I think when you leave the United States, like I said, I think my travel day there was like 30 hours. It was something crazy. And I flew right to Brisbane, got all my medical done, and then I left to go to Melbourne to play in our first game the next day. So I was like, jet lag, all right, here we go. It was.
Is it a victory? Do I recall that being a victory for you guys?
It was a 2-1 victory, I believe. Yeah, huge. So that was just so exciting and such a whirlwind. And my time in Brisbane, I still talk to my goalkeeper coach and head coach from that team, Alex and Dale, two people I really look up to and value their opinion. And just my time there, I mean, you're in Australia, and it's the summer. So it's like the winter months, but it's summer there. So being able to go over there and start actually playing games, because I'd never had that experience in the professional world before. Obviously, I was just learning at 3 in Kansas City, and being able to travel the country and play the game I love was something that was so special. And my family came out, got to see my professional debut, so that was just incredible to have them there with me. But my experience and my time there gave me, okay, it's like the little details that you don't really think about. What does a game day look like when you have to prepare to actually play versus not playing, being a 2, being a 3, like how does that vary? And just kind of like really iron out those details. And being in a foreign country, you have so many different things you have to worry about or think about as well. And so I think my 4 or 5 months down there really helped me kind of grasp, like, one, who do I want to be as a goalkeeper? Like, what is my goalkeeper identity going to be? How am I going to get there? And kind of what is that path forwards? And then just getting to compete. There's nothing better than game day, you know? So being able to go out there and put a jersey on and play, it was awesome. And I think I still reflect on what I've learned there and try to put into use here.
That makes a ton of sense. I will ask one more Australia-related question. This might be a goofy question because I'm not familiar with.
No goofy questions.
I'm not familiar with like how Brisbane is laid out as a city and things like that. But what I know about Australia is that there's a ton of like wildlife, and like you see, I see these like documentaries about like giant spiders and like snakes and all this stuff that makes me a little squeamish. Do you have any wildlife encounters or just something that you saw where like, whoa, it's real different out here?
You know what's crazy? We went right by where we live. There was kind of like a wildlife walk or whatever. Walking through there just in like the forest, and you look up and see koalas. You're like, whoa. Like,
that's great.
I've only seen a koala in the zoo before, and like barely from so far away, but they're just right there, and they're like, I don't know, squirrels, basically. I mean, a little more rare than squirrels, but you're like, whoa. But I was really thankful. I was terrified. In my apartment, there was 3 of us, all Americans. We would close the toilet seat every night. Like, I would bang on the toilet seat because told snakes, like, stay in there. But I thankfully never had any encounters with a snake, because if not, I would have been like, put me on the next flight home. Or spiders. I just missed the huntsman. They're like this big.
That's what I've heard.
Jeez.
Colossal. And I'm just so grateful. But you know what they did have there that I was not expecting? Cockroaches. And not normal. They're like this big and like this thick. Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Dino and I both lived in New York for a while. That's where we met. So that's intense even for a New York cockroach. That's a serious cockroach right there.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, more of a rugby style cockroach. Jordan, you talk a little bit about kind of like, I'm very fascinated by this because you talk a lot about like the player that you want to be, your player identity. We got to chat a little bit at one of the post-game pressers this season at Bay. And I think I asked you kind of like a very defensive goalkeeper question about getting, stopping shots. And you're like, no. But I also like to kind of like distribute. Can you talk a little bit more about, obviously there's a lot of discussion about the modern goalkeeper, but I'm sure you have a very specific conception of what kind of goalkeeper you are today. And sounds like you have a pretty good conception of who you want to be in the future. Can you talk a little bit about like your goalkeeper DNA and how you see that?
Yeah. So I actually spent this off season with one of my goalkeeper coaches from college who's coached in this league. His name's Dan Ball. He's at the University of Nebraska right now. He was at Angel City, Gotham before that. he coached me at Iowa State for my first season, and he was actually the first person that made me really realize, like, wow, I can play pro, and not just I can play pro, like I can be a great pro. And I sat down with him this off season, and I was like, okay, who do I want to be this year? Like, who am I going to be both in possession, so with the ball at my feet, and out of possession? So I just kind of break down what we talked about just for this season, and I look forward to doing this again. Like, obviously building kind of off these principles, but for in possession, I wanted to display an infectious confidence on the ball and be able to pick teams apart with different passes, whether it's playing through to a 6, playing around, or playing over. I think having those different passes in your pocket, you're impossible to defend, you know? Teams want to step high and press you, great, I'll play the space in behind. You want to sit off, perfect, I'll pick in between your lines. And I think for me, just continuing to develop the different tools and passes I have in my arsenal, like different textured balls, is something that I really want to add to my game. And I ran track for a while, so I have a little bit of speed in my background, and just learning how to kind of utilize that in defending the space and behind was something that was huge. I think out of possession, so kind of more shot stopping wise, I have a big area to grow on this, but I think with my height and size, the right environment, I can really kind of foster this. But I want to be a beast in the air. I want to dominate anything aerially. Like I said, I think that's a big part of my game that I can really grow and really hone in on this off season. I also want to dominate like a 4-yard window. So I want to be really clean within 4 yards. I think with my size and my explosiveness and power, I can really foster that, and I want to continue to develop that. A big thing for me also was a spread save. It's very modern. It's really added into the game. And I think that's the biggest area I've really improved in this year, is kind of my spread in like a 1v1 situation. And then the last, I wanted to be able to come away with game-saving saves every once in a while, like being able to pull those out. You know, you have the ones you're supposed to save, but making those ones that people are like, wow, like you weren't supposed to touch that. So that's like kind of, I actually have those like kind of written in my locker just every day and on my mirror at home, and just that's who I want to be, and that's who my uncle, one of my dad's cousins this year actually texted me after the first time we played Portland, and he was like, I don't know what it was about you, but you were just so, and he's like watched a little bit of soccer, but nothing crazy, and for him to be like, wow, you just looked so calm and on the ball. Someone that's a goal of mine, you know, and something I've really wanted, and to have someone that doesn't always like watch a lot of soccer be able to point that out was huge.
That is really fascinating. I mean, just hearing you rattle them off, you clearly, they're written in the locker, like you said, written in the house. That's really interesting. I mean, you strike us as a student of the game when you kind of talk about, you know, breaking those items down, those different pieces of goalkeeping. Just a little side note: I'm a Manchester City Football Club supporter over in England. And I love the way Ederson played. And you talk about having confidence with the ball at your feet. And sometimes, in Eddie's case, maybe a little crazy confidence, maybe some crazy decisions out there. Who are the goalkeepers that you look at in the NWSL or in world football that you kind of look at and say, okay, I like this piece of their game, this piece of their game?
Yeah, it's actually a great point. I think that's something I've like realized. You know, you have like Anderson, watching him play, is so fun, and just the confidence that he has on the ball and the different passes he has in his arsenal. Like everyone, it's so funny when the crowd's like, everyone gets nervous, and I'm like, oh no, I love that. Let's go, bring it on. Like, be brave out here. So it's been really cool to see the position kind of trend in that direction. I think from the female side of the game, Kaylin Sheridan is someone that both feet can ping a ball and pick your team apart, and she is so fun to watch, and I aspire to be like that with the ball at my feet. I think, you know, Neuer, just the same, was so fun. He's always so fun to watch with the ball at his feet. I just love, and the biggest thing, I've watched Kaylin for a lot of years, and even when she messes up, she does the same thing. Like, it doesn't deter her from wanting to do something different, and I just respect and admire that so much, that regardless, she knows what she can do, and she doesn't kind of let anything defer her from that.
I love that. And I feel like you and Sheridan, and please, you know, Dino and I always say, like, the crappy amateur football that we played growing up, like we know very little. We watch, we try to enjoy, we try to soak up information from coaches and you guys as players. But we always concede we don't know a damn thing about playing goalkeeper. It's like a different universe from being a player out in the field.
Yeah.
But I do feel like you and Sheridan have some similarities, even in just like shot stopping springiness. Is that fair to say?
I'm honored. I will take that comparison any day of the week. But no, yeah, I really respect so much of her game and am continuing. I love watching her play both for Canada and for San Diego.
Jordan, when did you become a goalkeeper?
Oh, great question. Probably in like seventh grade. One of my coaches told me I could never be a goalkeeper. So I'm a fairly stubborn individual. And I said, okay, watch me.
Let's
And
put
that's
that person on
literally
blast
Not a
right
good
now.
call.
I was like, all right, let's go. I will say my nickname at first when I first started was Swiss cheese. The ball was
that's way
always
worse.
go through me.
Yeah, not a great nickname, especially when you have Silky sitting right there.
Yeah,
It's an
you
easy.
just, like move past it. I like the progression where it's going.
There you go.
When I heard, I think Alyssa called you that at one of the pressers, I was like, damn, that's a cool nickname.
I know,
I wanted to ask you, a goalkeeper, a follow-up goalkeeper question.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got a lot of you've crushed a lot of tape in your day. So we've got a Hall of Fame here at the ITC, and I'll rattle off some names of who's in. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge, but I want to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. So we've got Aaron Cuthbert, Aitana Bonmati, Emily Sonnet, one of the original Lionesses, Carol Thomas, the Orlando Pride's Corey Dyke, and Chloe Kelly. It's a very small room. So
Yeah, I love that.
You have obviously a vast wealth of goalkeeper knowledge. What goalkeeper is Jordan Silkowitz putting into the ITC Hall of Fame?
Oh, wow. Wow. Honestly, I'm going to have to go Kaylin.
Oh, let's go. I love that.
Yeah, I'm going Kaylin. Yeah.
Congratulations, Kaylin Sheridan. You are the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh inductee into the ITC Hall of Fame. Congrats. Thanks, Jordan. We really appreciate that.
I can't believe you made Jordan care about our stupid Hall of Fame.
Oh, I love that. I love that you guys do that.
Well, it's only a matter of time before Jordan gets in.
You have a plaque with everyone on it?
There'll be a digital one in the works. We're definitely working on it. We'll get some statue people that are better than the Ronaldo and Dwayne Wade guys that put those together, and everything's in motion for sure.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, obviously, one more match on the docket, Racing Louisville. It's been a while since you've been able to kind of like notch a W. How are you approaching this final match, and what would it mean to kind of go out on a high note against a team that is playing? It's got some stakes it's playing for.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said for the last couple of games, like, let's play spoiler. Obviously, it's not the ideal position to be in. Would love to be fighting for a playoff spot or in playoffs, but we're going to do what we can. I mean, we go out every game, obviously, wanting 3 points. Wanting a clean sheet, would love one of those on the weekend as well. It's been a while since we had one of those as well. So I think just for ourselves, for our staff, for everyone, we go out every weekend going in for 3 points, but this one would be especially nice just kind of with the back half of the year we've had, being able to end the note on the high, send Alberton out on a high.
Can I hit you with one more question before we and thank you for being so generous with your time.
Please, I have nothing but time.
So you mentioned that Thorns match at home. That was a clean sheet. I believe that was the last clean sheet for Bay. A match that really jumped out to me. You guys drew at Orlando. I think you had 7 saves in that match. If we ask you for what is the silky snapshot of the best match you played this season, or maybe the match you felt best about, what kind of comes to mind for you?
I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go 1 where we got the result and 1 where we didn't. I think in that Portland game, I really felt like all the pieces for me really came together. Coming off of being in Germany with the 23s, going into that match, I just felt great. I feel like the game was really slowing down. I was training really well. I felt great. And I think if I were to look collectively at kind of what was my best overall performance together, I'd probably have to go with that Portland game. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that I was sick in that game and was out for a few weeks after that. I had picked up mono in Germany, so that was a heartbreak. So I was like 6 to 8 weeks after that. But I feel like in that game, I really put it all together, and it felt great, honestly. And then I will say where we didn't get the result was the second time we played Kansas City. That first 4-1 loss in Kansas City hurt. I learned a lot in that game, obviously playing my former team. And then I think the second time around back at home I felt I really came alive, honestly. I know that we lost 2-0, but I would say it was probably one of my better out of possession games.
Yeah, KC beat everybody 2-0 this year, it seems like.
Not last weekend.
True. Yeah, I hear that. All right. Okay, I think we did it. This has been another episode of To the Channel. Grant, I really appreciate you, bro. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate the time.
No, of course. Thanks for having me. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you all next time.